Happy Tuesday, Vaulters, Voltrons, Baltimoreans, Vault Nation, Vault Dwellers, so on and so forth. We'll get to that nickname at some point. I just wanted to kind of feel it off the top
Sure,
there to see how
sure.
people react to it. But, we've got a list of 10 plus, so we'll get there eventually for nicknames for you, our audience members. Welcome inside the Vault for a Tuesday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. It is January 14th. And Sarah, now that wild card weekend is officially behind us and the Minnesota Vikings, of course, lose last night to the Rams, it's officially divisional round week, and that's what we're working our way towards. Sunday night in Buffalo, the Bills and Ravens square off for a chance to go to the AFC Championship. Glad you guys can be with us today. Please like the video on your way in, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we're dropping our daily live content. And today's content is brought to you by Mantis Sleep. Lots to get to, including Rashod Bateman's national appearance on the Nightcap show with Ochocinco and Shannon Sharpe. And he educated both those guys about what it's like playing with Lamar and also talked up his MV3 candidacy. Zay Flowers updates. Emmanuel Acho maybe educated himself, Sarah, on what it's like playing with and for Lamar Jackson. We have Ravens Wired clips. We have all 22 breakdowns. It's probably going to be a 90-minute-er. Spoiler alert. Welcome in. Great to see you on this Tuesday, partner.
Great. When we say it's 60 minutes, it's 90 minutes. If we say it's going to be 90, we might be in trouble. It's good to see you too. It's a nice Tuesday morning, just waiting for the countdown. And Bobby, Rashod Bateman, it was kind of cool to see him on the Nightcap with Shannon Sharpe and Chad Ochocinco. And Chad and Shannon, right? They're both a tight end and receiver. They know what it's like to have timing down with the quarterback. But they've never played with somebody like Lamar Jackson, who is a magician in extending plays and manipulating pockets and all of that. So they were pelting. Like, this wasn't like one of those interviews where you ask the question but you kind of already know, or maybe you're trying to get to know the person. Like, they legitimately wanted to know what it was like to play with Lamar Jackson, and Rashod Bateman let them know. And I think it's hard for them to even envision it.
Yeah, for sure. First of two clips has everything to do with how you play with Lamar. And I thought Bateman's perspective was really unique. We'll get to his MV3 candidacy in just a second, which of course Rashod endorsed. But here's the first clip. And I thought Rashod was real loose in this interview. You guys can go check it out in full. It's about 20 minutes on last night's Nightcap live stream. But here it is. What's it like as a wide receiver or a pass catcher to play in Lamar Jackson's system?
Obviously, you expect the ball 1, 2, 3, ball might come out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ball might come out. But you have to stay alive. That's Lamar Jackson out there. And he can extend the play 3 seconds to 5 seconds to 8 seconds to 10 seconds. And on that first touchdown that first touchdown pass, that is exactly what happened. He was able to extend. You start one way and then come back. Tell us, what is your thought process when you leave the huddle? Okay, they call a play. Ready, break. And you leave the huddle. What's going through your mind?
You better be in shape. You better be in shape, brother. You better be in shape, man. That's why it's important. It's important to be on the field and be able to get those reps in with Lamar, man, because he's the type of quarterback, man, you gotta take practice to take rhythm.
Stay alive.
You stay alive to learn how to, play like that, because, it ain't easy, bro. It ain't easy, man. A lot of people can't even relate to that type of ball. So, it's tough.
Do you guys practice that? Because sometimes a scramble drill. Do you guys do they allow him to keep the ball? Because a lot of times we didn't do that. After certain things, their coaches just blow the whistle. But you really can't blow the whistle because it's so hard to get his ass on the ground. And so you really have to stay alive for at least 5 seconds. Maybe Coach Harbaugh don't even blow the whistle till the whistle get to 7 to 10 seconds, because you got to stay alive, because they're not getting him down within the first 3 seconds. That ain't happening.
Yeah, I would definitely say when we be practicing hard, definitely let the play go about 10 seconds longer than a normal coach would, because that's about how long L can extend the play for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to unpack here. Probably first and foremost with Ocho's wardrobe. Certainly did not miss. I don't think there's a lot of former players that can pull off, and I'm not saying he is pulling it off, but Ocho, for the audio-only audience, Sarah, how do you refer to that kind of hat right there?
I don't know. Like, is he heading out to Russia? It seems like one of those, like something you would wear in Moscow when the snow is coming down hard, or if you're in Iceland, or I don't know, something crazy. Well, I don't know if Icelanders wear that, but I'm just saying cold weather. Is he pulling it off? Anybody pulls it off if you wear something with confidence, I feel like.
Oh, and Ocho, he has been known to have an undying amount of confidence. And then, of course, Shannon Sharpe's laugh. I kind of love Shannon's laugh. It's very contagious. But, of course, the content side of it is pretty cool as well. And I found it to be hilarious. You better be in shape, brother. It ain't easy, man. A lot of people can't even relate to that type of ball, meaning the way that Lamar extends these plays is just uncanny, as we know. When we be practicing, Harbs definitely let the play go about 10 seconds longer than a normal coach would. So, again, a loose, kind of free-flowing Rashod Bateman. It was really an enjoyable interview. Go check it out on Nightcap. What were your thoughts on that opening snippet?
Yeah, I definitely laughed at the "you better be in shape" line. And those guys did too, because they understand. It is one thing, Bobby, like, I don't know how often any of us are running at a full sprint, right? A full sprint. Yeah. And that's what this man has to do just about every single play. That's the life of a wide receiver. But it's one thing to sprint for 3 seconds, 4 seconds. It's another thing to sprint for 10 seconds, 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds. And then, by the way, if you happen to catch it and you're able to get some yak, then you got to run some more. And then if you get tackled, you got to run back. And then the next play, you got to do it again. So when he says you got to be in shape, that is 100%. Then he talks about how hard it was. And when he was talking about that, I felt it, Bobby. And I bet most Ravens fans did too. And you did too. Like, and it's because we've witnessed this journey of Rashod Bateman trying to create chemistry with Lamar. Like, we've seen part of it's because he's been injured, so he didn't have as much time to create that chemistry. It took a minute for OBJ. For some reason, it works with Zay and Mark Andrews, and even Likely. Like, there's just an unspoken language there. But Bateman has definitely gotten there this year. And so he just understands that you got to keep it alive. They mentioned, Bobby, that touchdown. I've got the all 22 of it from this last Sunday.
Ball is hiked.
Oh, sorry. I forgot. There's this is from Samuel Njoku over at his podcast.
Oh yeah. At Ravens Talk Pod on Twitter. He's a great dude.
Great follow, but he kind of breaks this down. The touchdown pass to Rashod Bateman.
Ball is hiked. Let's stop here. You see here, 24 on Tylan Wallace. He's moving over this way. And what do you see here? A pick, traffic. We talked about this early in the season. We want the Ravens to get some muddy traffic here in the middle of the field. A lot of teams like to run this. The Chiefs run it to perfection. We've seen the Dolphins do it. Other teams have had success against the Ravens doing it. So let's try and get that going in this offense. The Ravens have done a stellar job, especially in the latter portions of the season, getting those picks in the middle of traffic, forcing these defenders away from the receivers and getting some wide open looks. But right here, you see the man in the match, really, is Tylan Wallace. Tylan Wallace does a good job picking this guy as well as moving this safety. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at here. Pay attention to that side of the field.
Okay, hold on. Because he's pointing out all the receiver stuff, which I love. Can you look at the pocket for Lamar? I remember live watching this and being like, Lamar's got time. Like, that is a beautiful pocket.
For the audio-only audience, I think the next closest player is probably Ronnie on the left-hand side, and there looks to be like 20 feet between the two of them.
It's bananas. Well, there's definitely a good 5 yards, right, between the offensive line and Lamar, and it's just a perfect U shape. It's just gorgeous. Okay, so I wanted to point out the offensive line while he's pointing out this pass concept. By the way, I can't recall. I hate to keep digging into him, but when Greg Roman was around, it's not like we got to break down the passing concepts very often. So thank you, Todd Monken. Let's continue.
Because that's where Rashod Bateman is going to get his open free look. Now, let's not forget to mention that Rashod Bateman cooks his corner. I mean, he absolutely cooks him. But because the safety is watching where this receiver is going, that gives Bateman the open look in the middle of the field. But let's take a look at it. All right. Perfect. Can't stop it. Can't stop.
And he was hyped after that, Bobby.
Yes, he was.
One more little clip. This one does not have anything spoken over it, but Ted Nugent pulled this from All 22, where Lamar is extending the play to Justice Hill, just on this topic of learning how to play with Lamar. First of all, Lamar's manipulation of the pocket is off the chain here. So we got the end zone view of it. Lamar drops back, and then you start seeing right there, TJ Watt kind of gets through, right? And then Ronnie Stanley's being pushed back. So Lamar is like, okay, this pocket was not as beautiful as the last one we just looked at. So this is another reason why I don't want to take anything away from the offensive linemen, but you tell me if Lamar helps them with their grades. Watch what he does. Moves back. And so Stanley's man stops going forward against him, does a little spin move to get Lamar on the outside, thinking Lamar's going to bail. And Lamar was like, psych, I was just helping out Stanley. Goes back to the middle, and now Stanley has leverage. Look at all the room that Lamar just created for himself. Okay, but as Lamar comes back, TJ Watt is coming in on Rajan Rosengarten. So now Lamar is going to go back and then steps up. And then I don't know who this is. Is this McCary losing his man? Or is it Linderbaum? I can't tell. But now he steps up.
That's McCary.
Yeah. And Justice Hill knew, because Justice Hill, by the way, I'm trying to see if I have this in the slides. I don't know if you, let me see if I had it in here. Anyway, Justice Hill told Ryan Mink that, he was a blocker on that play. But again, you have to learn how to play with Lamar. And at some point when he's manipulating that pocket, now watch Justice Hill. So he's back there to help block. He's trying to help Roger with TJ, realizes he has it. So he comes back for work here. The linebacker's not coming. Justice has no work to do. So he's like, I'm bailing. And that's exactly where Lamar goes.
Sarah, how about this? Look at the free lane right here that PQ thinks he has at Lamar.
Yeah.
There's so many different angles to this. You highlighted really well how Ronnie was sort of regained leverage because of Lamar's mobility. You see McCary who's working his butt off. Look, who's big 77? Is that Falele over here?
Yep.
He's over here. Linderbaum.
He's doing well.
Yeah,
he's man down.
He's like in a different universe, how far away he is because of Lamar. But look at the lane that PQ thinks he has right here at Lamar. Right. And then, no, I'm going back door. See, I'm going back door. And right when 3 Steelers are on me, I'm going to dump it off to Justice, who went from blitz pick-upper to touchdown scorer. What an unbelievable sequence.
Unbelievable. And Bobby, it lasted 11 seconds to the point of Rashod Bateman and Shannon Sharpe and Chad Ochocinco. Like, it's just insane, these guys.
And right there, that's full circle because of the end of the quote here. When we be practicing, Harbs definitely let the play go about 10 seconds, to your point, longer than a normal coach would, which is probably why, to no one's surprise, part of the interview also included some MV3 endorsement from Big Play Bait.
Speak to our audience, man, and myself also, and let us and Unc know why you believe Lamar Jackson is the MVP.
I mean, at this point, man, I only know we're going off no more. I don't know if we're going off stats, film, or what, man. But, in my eyes, I mean, everything speaks for itself. I mean, dude, go out and make plays, week in and week out, and not just, regular plays, amazing plays. I mean, the stats are there. I mean, you turn on the film, he jump out. It ain't even just about the numbers. At this point, it's just, saying you can't deny that Lamar Jackson is on the field no matter who on the team. So, I mean, I ain't the judge, but hey, what I'm saying? I definitely think it's, MV3 year.
Added to the list, Bait making sure his point stands and is understood. At this point, I don't even know what we going off no more. In my eyes, everything speaks for itself. It ain't even about the numbers at this point. You can't deny that Lamar is on the field no matter who's on the team. And there they are, airborne after scoring a touchdown last year.
Yeah, I mean, I like his point where he's like, he's not just regular plays. Like the one we just showed to Justice Hill, that's not regular. And it isn't as eye-popping as like one where he's like stiff-arming, who was it? Was it Hendrickson on the Bengals where he's stiff-arming him to the ground and then
Hendrickson
throws?
or Hubbard? Which one was it?
I can't remember. It was a Bengal though. It was a
I wanna say
Bengal.
It was Hubbard.
Yeah, and so he stiffs arms him to the ground and then does like this jump pass to likely in the end zone. Like those are easier to see. But then when you break down the film on that one, it's not regular. It's not regular the way he manipulated that pocket. He manipulated 3 or 4 different Steelers.
Yeah.
All in one. It's bananas.
Yeah.
But the next one, Bobby, I like. He talks about his welcome to the NFL moment.
Well, this was just straight up hilarious because who delivered it? His now teammate who used to be in Chicago.
Hey, what was your welcome to the NFL moment?
Shit, my rookie year, Roquan, you're my team now. But we went to Chicago, bro, knocked my helmet off. I ain't never had that before. In my whole career playing for White, never had my helmet knocked off. I said, yeah, these boys getting paid. These boys getting paid. I said, let me tighten
Did
up.
he catch you slipping?
Yeah, he caught me slipping. Caught a little screen. caught a little screen, cut back. Yeah, helmet came off.
Yeah, that's what people don't realize. When you run that jailbreak screen, the bubble screen, or whatever you guys call it, it's that inside that hurt. Because them D linemen and them linebackers, they coming from in here. And that's what you wanted to do, turn back into this headache.
Yeah, don't go back in there. No. No, ask Ocho. He seen what happened in there. You know what go on now? No? Ocho,
Ray. Yeah. Listen, I lived in the trenches, though. I lived in the trenches. You got to think.
No, he didn't.
You got to think. I did. Huh? You got to think.
He might have been born in the trenches, but he ain't living in no trenches, not in the NFL.
He was dying. He was dying now. I don't know if he was successful, though.
Man, listen, you got to think. I was 6'4", 230 when I was playing. So, you know, it was nothing to me be down there.
Rest of that clip is just Ocho antics doing his thing. But man, Bates hysterical. Roquan Smith, 2021. He's a Chicago Bear, of course. This was a game that the Ravens won, by the way. I went and looked 16-13 during Rashod's rookie year. And remember, his rookie year, the first half of it, I believe, was stolen from him due to injury. But then he finished it off very well. And so, but of course, as many rookies experience, he did have a rookie moment, a welcome to the league moment. And Roquan, of course, was the one to give it to him, knocking him so hard, his helmet came off. So Bate having a little bit of fun with it and Roquan doing what Roquan does, just smash mouth kind of football. Welcome, young man. Welcome.
If I saw Roquan Smith coming at me with that face he sometimes makes, there's that one. I remember he did a photo shoot with the Ravens media team, and they have him, with his arms out, and he's got like that ugly, I'm gonna kill you kind of face. Mm-hmm. If I saw that coming at me, I would seriously drop to the ground and assume the fetal position.
Look out. Yeah, no question.
That would be insane. So here's a lesser known fact. Rashod Bateman, who we're looking at right now, we've got an update on Zay's injury in a moment, but right now he's wide receiver 1. And I'm glad to see him getting some calls by the national media, recognizing him because he is wide receiver 1 as the Ravens head into the divisional round. Bobby Trossett, did you know that the Ravens this year are 9-0, including the playoffs, including if we include the Steelers win? The Ravens are 9-0 this year when Rashod Bateman scores a touchdown. And that just reminds me of you saying in the offseason when we talked about it, like if Bateman can put up, 850 yards on top of everything else that they have on offense, then that's the X factor. Well, we're seeing it with a 9-0 record when he scores.
Yeah, it came to fruition for him. And it's obviously no coincidence that he stacks 2 consecutive seasons of health, which is another thing that he talked about during this interview. That was our one thing. It's like, we know he has it in him. We know he's a silky smooth route runner. We know he's a king separator, which he's certainly proven yet again and reaffirmed this year. But can he stack good health? And he has the last 2 seasons. And here you have it. Over 650 yards receiving, 9 touchdowns. Apparently that statistic exists. You told me about that in our pre-show. When good things happen when he leads, scores touchdowns. And hey, hopefully that continues because the Bills are unbeaten at home this year. So what's going to give? Is it going to be the Bateman extension of that streak with a touchdown and the Ravens winning what's correlated? Or is it going to be the Bills staying unbeaten at home. It's a tough place to play. We'll get to the weather forecast in just a bit. But let's first get to Manta Sleep, some super chats before we talk about how the national media is really coming around on this future Hall of Fame duo. I know you got a lot coming up on exactly that. Today is brought to you by our friends at Manta Sleep. It's the official sleep mask partner of the Vault. And right now, the Manta Sleep Mask Pro, one of the many things that's available when you go to our unique link at mantasleep.com. If you find something you like, use our discount code VAULT10. That is VAULT10. It'll get you 10% off at checkout. It gives you true 100% blackout for a deeper sleep. You've got C-shaped eye cups for unbeatable side sleep comfort. And as I was scrolling through the site, I wanted to show you something different, Sarah. And I need noise. I just need white noise or some sort of fan blowing.
Kids.
Yeah, to get to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It just helps me out, especially when you live in the city. Trash comes on Tuesday mornings. I was up at 6 a.m. And as I told you in the pre-show, I snoozed the alarm. Did not go work out this morning. As a result, I have an energy drink in front of me right now. Yes, Dre Dog.
No, you did not.
I think Dre Dog is
now
somewhat
you're
punching.
just going down a spiral. You're
Dre
not going to
Dog
get
is-
out when you use that.
No question. Dre Dog is somewhere punching air right now. He's not happy. Kadri's
Dre
ready
Dog,
to
help
wring
me
my
out
neck.
here. Q,
You
help
know,
me out here. Come on, man.
If Q's in the chat, he's ready to wring my neck. I'm going to get scolded by my uncle, But anyway, when I went over to the site, I realized there's actually a white noise machine that I might have to invest in or work with Manta on. So here you have it, the world's most effective noise blocking system, $115 right now at mantasleep.com, 10% off if you use that discount code. Here are all the different things. One-click start, tactile bedside control pad, specially designed to create a sound shield that safely blocks noise, so on and so forth. So anyway, there's not just sleep masks is what I'm trying to get across here. And you have other booster speakers, Manta white noise machines. You've got a ton of different things here. So go on over there. If you support Manta, you're supporting us because they've been with us for over a year now. And obviously our brand sponsors and their support and their belief in what we're building means a lot. So continued thanks to Manta. And now we get on
real quick.
to...
I want to say something about that. I did not know they had those noise machines. That's a big deal. So my youngest daughter, she's 7 and she shared a room with her older sister forever. And we're trying to get her to go sleep in a separate room on her own. And she wasn't able to do it forever. And so I don't know the difference. They like brown noise. And so I got her a brown noise machine for Christmas. I would have gotten the Manta Sleep one if I had known it was available. And she, no problem, goes to bed every night now. No problem. It's incredible. That's
interesting. Brown versus white. I'm not aware of that either.
Yeah. I've looked it up. I've heard it on YouTube. There is a difference, but I don't know how it makes one sleep more, but that's pretty cool they have that.
I just saw a comment in one of our videos yesterday that a subscriber of ours bought the sound sleep mask, which I know Aiden really enjoys, which is the built-in Bluetooth feature. So anyway, we tell you a lot about, the point is we tell you a lot about the masks, but there are there's much more on mantasleep.com than just solely the masks. JL Green says, regarding Ocho's hat, Ochocinco that is, for me recalls Sly Stone. Not sure what that reference is. Do you?
Is he talking about Sylvester Stallone?
Oh.
In Rocky 4?
JL, help us out here. I'm not good with those references.
I love Rocky. I love the Rocky series.
You do.
I watched that growing up.
I'm
still a 45-year-old woman, and I'm like, all right, let's go, Rocky. Here we go.
You just referenced it last week. Jang, for you.
Joined late. Do we know if Zay is playing this week? We got an update coming up, Jang.
Coming up, stay tuned. Joy Walker says, El Freaky makes everyone better. True challenge for all real MVP. Lamar has tripled that of Josh. LJ equals 9 Pro Bowlers. Josh equals 1. Kobe, for you.
Derek stiff-arming Fitzpatrick all the way to Cabo is nice, but we need to talk about likely bouncing a human being on the ground like a basketball. I actually brought that clip in because I do want to have this conversation. Whose stiff arm was better?
So in our pre-show meeting, you mentioned that you feel like national media, and in this case, Emmanuel Acho, is coming around on the impact that Lamar has for others around him, particularly the first ballot Hall of Famer, Derrik Henry. What'd you find?
My goodness. I don't know if they're just now legitimately figuring this out, because I have sent film to Emmanuel Acho in the past, and it was the film from the Ravens Week 16 game showing the Lamar Jackson effect. He didn't respond, but maybe he saw it and was like, oh, okay, maybe there's something here. Or maybe he just felt like Allen really needed to win. He needed to justify giving Allen the vote for MVP. But finally, Bobby, finally, here he tweets out a film breakdown from this wild card game against the Steelers. And he writes, the Ravens scheme is ridiculous. And if you can't stop this, you'll never stop the Ravens. He says, this is my favorite breakdown of the season with mind blown emojis. Okay. And I'm going to play his breakdown in just a minute. Then he wasn't done there. He quote retweeted himself because his mind is blown that much. Everybody talks about the impact Derrik Henry has on Lamar Jackson's success. But the film shows LJ has had a wild impact on Henry's success. Hello? How long have we been preaching this? And I feel like he knows. I sent them that film and it got a lot of likes. I tagged him in it, obviously, because I'm replying to him. It got a lot of likes. He had to see it. Bobby, he's finally seen the lights and he's sharing it with everybody that watches the facility. Here's his breakdown with screen grabs for copyright purposes.
Everybody who said that, look at the effect that Derrik Henry has. You also have to look at the effect Lamar Jackson has. Ravens, you cannot stop the Ravens if you cannot stop this. Favorite breakdown. Right now, the Ravens schematically, they know how to defeat you. If you look at it, this linebacker, number 41, very simply put, number 41, you got the A gap. But what you do defensively, you do something called you chase and you replace. A, Watt, I need you to chase, and then Wilson, I need you to replace. Early on in the second quarter, look at the timestamp. Again, we're going to go through a lot of things here, but I'm going to try to do it concisely. Chase and replace. This is the Steelers doing it well. You chase, you replace, tackle. Dead to rights. Do that well, but here's the problem. The Baltimore Ravens, they consistently garner information throughout the course of the game. Throughout the course of the game, they're garnering information. Now, again, look at the timestamp. It's now been 1 quarter later. What have I taught y'all? You chase and you replace. You chase and you replace. It's very simple. You chase and you replace. But the Ravens, they wised up. What they said is, hey, we're going to block the chaser. So if in the event we now block the chaser, go ahead, replace if you want to. But because we blocked the chaser, there is now going to be nobody in the gap. You chase, you replace. That's fine. But the Ravens and Todd Monken offensively, they wised up. You chase, you replace. They blocked the chaser. Nobody's in the replacement gap. But then to add insult to injury, later on in the game, the Ravens, they add another wrinkle to the scheme. Remember, we've already talked about the scheme. At home, you can say it back to me at your TVs. You chase, you replace. You chase,
replace.
You replace. It's very simple. But now the Ravens got even smarter. Now they're going to block the replacer. So if the Ravens block the replacer, now the individual, number 24, who is supposed to be guarding the replacer man-to-man, now you have to show up. You got to chase, replace, and replace. But you cannot inevitably do that. And so you look at number 24, JPJ, he ends up lost on the play, and the Baltimore Ravens, they pick up another big game. Now, in case you missed some of the details, here's what I want you to see. Second quarter, chase, you replace. But then in the third quarter, the Ravens wise up. Chase, you replace. Then the last play I showed y'all, it was in the fourth quarter. Ravens got even smarter. You want to chase and replace. Don't worry. We are going to even block the chaser. Then we're going to block the replacer. You chase, you replace, you replace. You can't do it consistently. And even if you got the right bodies in the right place at the right time, can they make the right tackle?
And you wonder why Pittsburgh was completely worn out. And to use Mike Tomlin's words, fatigued was a component. You're wondering why. Great breakdown, Sarah.
They were fatigued early, and Bobby, just for the sake of time, you should have watched, if you guys can go back and watch the facility and watch Chase Daniels and LaShawn Shady McCoy, their reaction to all this. Because after that, Acho went and sat down back at the desk. And then Chase Daniels is like, that first one, the one where I had, here, let me bring this back up. Right here. This one, they had to bring back up. Because Chase Daniels, his jaw was on the floor. He's like, I've never seen that before. This is former NFL players with their jaws on the floor. And obviously they're covering 32 teams, so they're not looking at film in depth all the time like this, which is why I like to reach out in a non-combative way to show this type of stuff, hoping that they might see it. And so Chase is like, he's like, bring that back up. He's like, three guys. And then McCoy, who is obviously a former running back in the NFL, has a lot of nice awards himself. He's like, Acho, I ran read options. I've run them. Obviously he has. He's like, never has that happened with the quarterback I did it with. Never. I never saw a lane like that where it took three guys and the A gap is wide open. Like, you should go back and watch their reactions. Like, they're just like stunned by it. We aren't, because we've been seeing it. So they're coming around, Bobby. They're coming around to the Lamar Jackson effect.
This is the key screenshot right here.
That's it.
I mean, you don't want to take away whatsoever from a 31-year-old who put up over 1,900 rushing yards. But I'm sorry, playing behind the offensive line that he did, particularly his last year in Tennessee a season ago, it's night and day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you wonder why all these screenshots keep catching him with his eyes wide open as he dances to the end zone. He hasn't seen these kind of lanes and rushing windows in years. And of course, a lot of it has to do with the mobility of the offensive line, but it starts and ends with what we shared with you off the top, and that is Lamar Jackson's freakish way of escapability, the extension of plays, which is why Rashod and so many other receivers throughout his time and running backs have flourished. I get you got to be in shape, but you are flourishing as a result. If you are in shape, you are going to flourish in Baltimore with Lamar's uncanny ability to extend plays.
Just a magnet. So, okay, next, this is like a theme of national media coming around, right? So who do we want to go to next? Okay, so I showed yesterday this tweet, and I did go and watch First Things First. And Nick Wright was, for the first time I've ever seen, I thought, largely fair when it came to Lamar Jackson. So this tweet yesterday where he said, great game by Henry, obviously, but more importantly, so you can see it's not like using Henry to take away from Lamar. He's like, yeah, Henry played well, but more importantly, this was the first playoff game of Lamar's career where he's looked like regular season Lamar from the opening snap, and overall his second good playoff game ever. And then says the 23 versus Houston. He said, great sign as the Ravens look awesome heading into Buffalo. Then he kind of talked about how he said he got a listener reached out to him and said, the way you've set this up is you're going to be right as long as Lamar Jackson doesn't win a Super Bowl. Like, he was like, you're going to bury Lamar if he doesn't win a Super Bowl, even if he plays great. And Nick was right. Nick was like, I do want to be fair. He's like, I want to be fair. He goes, if he were to lose next weekend, but he played well, I will give him that credit. So he was trying, but I didn't feel like I needed to pull it in because he basically recapped what he wrote here. It was like not using Henry to reduce what Lamar did. He was like, no, Lamar was sensational from the beginning to end, but there was something much more entertaining before Nick said all that, which I believe you have, correct?
Yeah, and I had multiple people on last night's live stream when I covered this that reached out and wanted me clearly to make sure that we got your reaction to Chris Broussard, who, of course, is a co-panelist on First Things First with Nick Wright. Here's the screenshot. We'll get to the audio in just a second. But as Chris has continued to ingratiate himself to the Ravens flock,
yes,
he continues to make sure that he keeps receipts and has a good old time with Nick, who has not always been as forthcoming as he was yesterday, to your point, and also summarized in that tweet. So here's Chris rocking his Ravens robe. He's got the shades on as well. His feet are up on top with those snazzy Jordans on top of the table, on top of the set. And not
Bobby,
only, yeah.
I feel like I need to match Chris for this. All right.
Okay.
I got to match him.
Okay.
These are the glasses we got from why
Oakley.
is their name Oakley? Yeah, when they were our brand sponsors. Okay, so I'm gonna match Chris Broussard. Here we go.
Yep.
I gotta listen to this.
Not only are you gonna match him, but you're going big screen while you listen to this, so we get your reaction to Chris Broussard's segment yesterday on First Things First that's making its way across social media. Here it is, the victory lap of all victory laps, if you will.
Okay, Brew, did Lamar silence his playoff doubters?
Before I get to Lamar and the Ravens, let me tell you something about the Steelers. What I like about the Steelers is that they watch First Things First. Mm-hmm. And because they watch First Things First, for the last 2-3 months, they have heard my friend, the great Nick Wright.
Thank you.
Talk about how they had Lamar Jackson's number.
Yeah. Well,
how he was even scared of them.
He said it.
And then when you throw in that they listen to Nick talk about Lamar's woes in the playoffs, how when the postseason comes, he goes on his own. He chokes. So because of that, the Steelers went into the Ravens' house feeling a bit chesty, thinking that they were going to get a diminished Lamar Jackson and pull off the upset. But guess who else watches First Things First?
Ooh.
The Ravens.
Oh.
And the Ravens knew. They saw Brew's marching orders. And boy, did they carry them out to a T. So when the Steelers showed up, they grabbed him by the back of the neck, pulled him in the house.
Pulled him in the house.
Said, fetch me my robe. Turn on the big screen, the wire. And then get in the kitchen.
Yikes.
And get me a sandwich with some chips. And of course, I gotta wash it down with a soda pop.
Soda pop.
It was music to my ears.
Where's the food?
Said he's the smartest in the room.
Smartest in the room.
That man Brew.
That man Brew.
The smartest in the room.
Smartest in the room.
That man Brew.
That man Brew.
Jordan's on his feet.
Jordan's on his feet.
Shades so sweet.
Shades so sweet.
Versace wrote from Nick.
Versace wrote from Nick.
Swagger don't quit.
Swagger don't
Remember
quit.
when I told you what the Ravens would do.
Ravens would do.
The smartest in the room.
Smartest in the room.
And that man Brew.
That man Brew.
Oh, he's the smartest man. Now it's time for a snack. Put it in my hand. Make me a sandwich. Soda pop. Don't forget the chips, please. Don't forget the chips. No mayo. Oh, fellas, that man Brew. Brew. Oh, yeah.
Those guys.
Soda pop.
Legitimately a great song. I mean, it was really great. Fantastic. Brew, would you like me to go?
I'm going to be humming that all the rest of the show.
I don't blame you. I don't know that I had to say smartest in the room as many times.
I did not. They made that up themselves after observing the show.
All right. No, but in all seriousness,
it's all you.
Okay.
I'm done.
I'm done. Are you comfortable over there? Are you comfortable?
Dude, I'm almost totally comfortable. Listen, if the Ravens beat the Bills, we have to order some purple robes. And I need how does he say it? Sandwich. You know I don't typically drink soda pop. I've always got my water or I've got my Premier Protein, which I really feel like we need to reach out to them.
Okay.
But I'll drink a soda pop. Give me a Sprite. I'll take a Sprite. I will put on a robe, and then we'd have to put on the wire. I like, and then the man brings in a church choir. A church choir talking about soda pop and sandwiches, and he's the smartest in the room.
And no mayo. That was
wait. I do like mayo though. Don't give me mustard now. I can't take the mustard.
Listen,
the mayo I will.
The fact that acapella group came in, observed them probably prior to putting that together, and just delivered it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was Emmy worthy. Dare I say that was an Emmy worthy segment.
That was good, Bobby. I am staying this way for the rest of this segment, the national media segment. Okay. I'm keeping my feet up Because all we have left is Dan Orlovsky, right?
Do it.
All right. I am legitimately comfortable here.
Here's your Orlovsky slide.
Oh, Dan. Oh, Dan. Oh. Well, let's play it. We'll get it. We'll get it on the other end. But basically, Dan and the guys on First Take are talking about the Bills and Ravens. And then I don't know why Dan needed to say this, but he seems to think that if the Bills play like they did against the Broncos on Sunday, he says they will beat the Ravens. Now, look, I am trying to be on my best behavior in terms of celebrating the Ravens without knocking down, say, Josh Allen, because I feel like Josh has had a sensational year, which just tells you why Lamar's year was even more incredible, because I think he's going to win that MVP, as I've been advocating for since, by the way, since Ravens fans have been against me. They were like, who cares about MVP, Sarah? They finally came around. But the Bills had a good game, but they didn't have a good first half, and they were not great in the red zone. And they dominated in time of possession, which I would be a bit surprised if they dominated time of possession against the Ravens. So at least Stephen A. and Shannon Sharpe are coming around, right? That's what this segment's all about. But Dan Orlovsky, he's not quite there yet. Here is the segment.
Think that the Bills are going to have a 41-18 time of possession advantage? Do you think that they're going to beat the Ravens if they're in the red zone 5 times and only come up with 1 score? Do you think that's going to happen? Is that going to be good enough to beat the Baltimore Ravens?
No. If the Bills
that's not going to be it.
If the Bills play this coming weekend, first of all, I was way more impressed with what the Bills did and what the Ravens did, because the Steelers were just so bad. If they play this weekend against the Ravens like they did yesterday, Buffalo wins that game. Absolutely.
Oh, Lord.
They were
They're not winning that game.
He said, oh, Lord.
Yeah, I think, having watched yesterday's segment where he was talking about the tape, the first half tape that Pittsburgh put on film in the wild card game,
yeah,
I'd have to think it was more about how abysmal. He referred to it as abysmal. I would think it's more about that, and that's probably fresh on his mind. I mean, there were guys making business decisions all over the field. But yeah, he slipped that one in there, didn't he?
Well, and there's a part of me that gets where Dan is coming from, because we have highlighted the effort given by the Steelers, right? There were business decisions being made all over the place, but it begs the question, like, this is what I would like to ask Dan. I agree. I saw a lack of effort out there, right? We all saw it. However, was that lack of effort due to getting pummeled from the opening drive? And which drive was it, Bobby, that the Ravens had 13 rushes in a row and scored? Was that the second drive?
It was like midway through the first half, somewhere around there.
Yeah. When you snatch their souls in the first half, were the business decisions because you got beaten down, which happens usually in the fourth quarter? So that's what I would ask. Like I agree, Dan, there was a lack of effort from the Steelers, but was it because they got pummeled by Derrik Henry and Lamar Jackson and company? That's my question. And so if it was because of the Ravens, could the Ravens do that again to the Bills? Because the Bills are not built like the Steelers. They're not as tough. They're not a bad defense, but they're not as tough. And so that's the question. That's the question.
Yeah, and here's that quote that I was referencing right here. As tough a Steelers tape as he's ever seen. That's what Dan Orlovsky said yesterday. So could it be a little bit of both? Maybe.
Well, and the other thing is they really were, and they talked about this going into it, they really were confused by motions. And that's got to, and Patrick Queen's in the middle of that. Patrick Queen is in the middle of that, which is why I think he played so well with Roquan. Roquan's the one diagnosing that stuff. So I don't know that the Bills are going to be as confused as the Steelers were. I'll say that.
They certainly were the first time around, but as we know, they were undermanned. We'll get to that in just a bit. That brings us to this matchup, obviously, and ESPN Analytics have the matchup predictor. How about it? 50-50, a coin flip, if you will. Going to be a balanced one if ESPN analytics comes to fruition. By the way, the line has flipped. It went from on ESPN Bet 1 point underdogs for the Ravens to now 1 point favorites. This was as of, I believe, last night. So a pick'em game, like you said earlier on, it's going to flip around. We'll see what the weather turns out to be. The local Buffalo affiliate, 7 News WKBW, locally there in Buffalo, has this screenshot right here. 12 noon, they're expecting snow showers and 20 degrees. This is come Sunday, by the way. 6 o'clock, it will be dark by then, 18 degrees, still some precipitation. And then come 10 o'clock, smack dab in the middle of this game. Actually, excuse me, it's a 6:30 kickoff, so the game will be coming to an end at 10 o'clock. 17 degrees, 10 to 20 mile per hour winds.
Oh, that's the part.
Yeah.
That wind.
Yep. So
that's where you give me another series where you run 13 times in a row and score. Like, give me that and that wind.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say one thing you can guarantee is that there will be gnarly Western New York weather come kickoff at 6:30 at Highmark Stadium. I mentioned this
Bobby,
a second
the glasses
ago.
are coming off. Glasses are coming off. That was for Chris Broussard and the national media coming around.
Good deal.
Yeah.
And a very a worthy prop that you had ready to go. Early on, we mentioned, and a lot of Bills Nation has been leaning on this, the fact that they were undermanned in that Week 4 Sunday night smackdown in Baltimore. They were playing without Taron Johnson, Terrell Bernard, and Matt Milano, their former all-pro linebacker. They all missed the game due to injury, and Amari Cooper had not yet been acquired in that deadline edition at the wide receiver position that they brought in November. And this was, of course, from Alex Brasky quote tweeting Dan Orlovsky, who mentioned earlier this week that, as we all know, the Ravens beat the absolute heck out of Buffalo 35-10 on that night. Look, I think while you have that part.
Wait, back up a little bit. So let's see here. Okay, so Teron, give us the positions of all these guys.
Well, it's all defensive players, corners and linebackers for the Bills that they were
linebacker. Okay.
Most notably, it's Milano. He was injured, and this dude's a dog. He's an absolute dog. I know there's a classic. I think it was from earlier on in Lamar's career. It's a classic clip that goes viral whenever Ravens Bills meet up. But Milano met Lamar in the backfield at one point, and Lamar put him on skates, like broke his ankle.
Oh, the one from back in the day?
Yeah.
You're talking about 2019?
It might have been 19
or 20.
So it was opening Lamar ball like in the early part of his career, and he made Milano look silly. That does not take away from when he is healthy, which he appears to be. Okay. This dude's an all-pro. So all this can be mentioned while also mentioning on the flip side that the Ravens had the 32nd ranked pass defense at the time that they played, and they held Buffalo to 10 total points.
That is true, but going back and rewatching that game, that Week 4 matchup against the Bills was like the one good game the secondary had. Do you know what I mean? And so, like,
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Right. So I guess all I'm saying is like, you think about it and you're like, oh, well, we had the 32nd pass defense back then, and now in the last 11 weeks they were number 1. But I'm just saying, like, you can't expect them to play much better than they did in that Week 4 game.
For sure.
Because they only gave up 10 points.
Only 10 points. There were a couple big plays. A 52-yarder to Khalil Shakir. Remember, that was an incredible extension play by Josh Allen. He was flushed out to the right-hand side, and right before he ran out of bounds, he lifted it to Khalil Shakir, almost a prayer, which went for 52. Dalton Kincaid had one for 25. Keon Coleman had one for 24. He torched Brandon Stevens a couple times, did the rookie. So they had a couple plays, 52, 24, 25. But aside from that, James Cook had 9 carries for 39 yards. Obviously, he went on to have a stellar season for them at the running back position. He can also be a pass catcher for him as well. Ty Johnson has come on of late for them as sort of a dual threat guy as well, from a rushing attack standpoint and through the air as a pass catcher. So yeah, these are just sort of the facts. Mm-hmm. Clearly at that point, Marcus Williams had not yet been benched. Eddie Jackson had not yet been waived, and Trenton Simpson had not yet been demoted. These were all key pieces to the personnel adjustments that were made throughout the first 10 weeks. And so this is kind of just the things that you look at from 1,000 feet up when you look back to a late September matchup where both teams obviously are vastly different than they were, that night. And I think that's the reality of it. I don't expect this to be a boat race. I expect it to be, I think I'm going to go the high scoring. I've teased it a couple times this week. I'm kind of leaning towards a high scoring affair, weather permitting, which is a big if. And we'll see come Sunday night.
Yeah, I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to go high scoring. Like, I could totally see it going that way. I just don't know how the weather's going to affect it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And obviously,
but at the same time, sometimes in the snow, like I'm thinking back to the Ravens snow game. Who was that against? Was that against Minnesota? But it was in M&T Bank Stadium. Like, it's harder for the defense to get their footing in the snow.
Definitely.
So I don't know. I gotta think about my score prediction more.
Well, the good news is for you, we'll have a few more days to think about that. And coming up on Friday in our game preview episode, we'll be joined by former wide receiver and Bills analyst Steve Tasker. So looking forward to that. 12:30, good get for us. Great dude. Highly thought of, highly thought of in Buffalo circles. So that'll be coming up on Friday. What we'll also be monitoring is Zay Flowers as practice begins this week. And of course, his status remains in limbo. Adam Schefter, ESPN insider, had this to say yesterday on the Pat McAfee show in terms of where things currently stand with Baltimore's Pro Bowler.
I think essentially he's going to have a chance to get back for this game. I know the Ravens felt like if they could win this past week, that Zay Flowers would have a chance to be back for the divisional playoff game. Now, it's a tough injury. It's a knee. No guarantees. Let's see how the week goes. But on Monday, leading up to that huge matchup, Sunday night, 6:30, I would say that there's a chance that Zay Flowers is going to be back in that game.
And not long after that, John Harbaugh met with the media as well.
In we'll see mode. He's working hard to get back. And we'll see toward the end of the week if he's practicing. And he could play without practicing for sure if he feels healthy enough and if it's safe for him.
Okay, so in we'll see mode from Harbaugh, no surprise there. He's going to be tight-lipped. It was last week that Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, Sarah, referred to divisional round weekend as an outside chance for Zay. Of course, he could very well be. Maybe the most important part of this entire quote from Harbaugh was that he could practice and still play. So if he's limited this week, if you don't see him out there, don't necessarily write this thing in ink.
I thought that last line was more for the opposing team. Trying to make sure that they're prepping for Zay. I'll just say this. I feel like what Adam just said there is mostly in line with what he reported last week, but I listened to him during NFL Live and he seemed much more confident that if the Ravens advanced the divisional round that Zay would be back. Whereas to me, the impression he gave me, it was that you can feel pretty good, like 80, 90%, he didn't say this, but that was the impression, the way he said it confidently. The way he just said it there made me think it's more 50-50 when you say it's like a chance,
Sure.
So certainly something to monitor. And I want him back. I know that we're all feeling really comfortable after seeing the way Derrik and Lamar dominated in the run game. But you can never have too many weapons. And I just feel like the Bills have more to play for. I think they're going to have more motivation. The Steelers were coming off this 4-game losing streak and or just already down in the dumps. And the Bills, want to prove that their quarterback is MVP, while the Ravens have the same thing. They both feel like they are Super Bowl contenders. Like they 1000% believe that. They both feel like they've come up short in recent years in getting to the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Ravens are feeling that more recently, seeing as they lost in the AFC Championship game. So I just feel like the Bills have a lot more to play for. And I just don't think it's going to be as easy. So I would like to see Zay back. But even if he is, Bobby, we can't expect him to be 100%.
No, we can't. And I don't think we can expect the by committee replacement efforts that they made on Saturday against Pittsburgh to work all the way through the rest of the postseason. You know, that was great. It worked. They were using a bunch of different dudes out there to try and, you know, replicate Zay. Nobody truly replicates Zay Flowers. Same could be said for Lamar. And while we're on the topic of injuries and whatnot and statuses, John Harbaugh was asked if Lamar will be limited this week after, of course, this screenshot that you provided here from the Prime telecast over the weekend. He took a knee to the back, and Harbs was like, it doesn't look that way from what I've been told in terms of Lamar being limited. We'll obviously know more when they get set for practice coming up, tomorrow? Today's
Wednesday.
Tuesday.
Yep.
So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they'll practice. Saturday, they'll travel to Buffalo, and Sunday at 6:30, they'll play. I mean, Lamar looked like he was in considerable pain, as we discussed in our post-game show at times.
But it never affected his play.
But it never did. It's almost like the adrenaline kicked in when he was actually on, in the middle of a play. But curious to see what kind of treatment he maybe received. I mean, we know in game, Kaylee Hartung reported that. What was the heater? Was it a heat?
A heating pad.
Heating pad. He had a heating
torso.
pad. The training staff were following him around, in between drives and whatnot. So we'll see how he's tracking and how he spent his off day and whatnot to make sure that he's ready to go. And then you had just sort of an all-out effort kind of observation here. Great question. I think this was Luke Jones who asked it. Really good one. And Harbs gave him a good response too on Isaiah Likely.
So obviously there was this was after his stiff arm, right? This is at the end of this play. He didn't quite get into the end zone. I can't remember how many seconds are left. It's around 10 seconds, maybe a little above or below. And when I tell you that Isaiah Likely had a heads-up play, he sprinted like he was running a route. He sprinted that ball to the hash, and you know what? He didn't even want to pass it off to the ref, who for sure is going to be slower than Isaiah. So he ends up putting it down on the hash, and Harbaugh loved it. He says, quote, "So impressive. He takes that ball right to the hash, gets it to the ground. Everybody sprints up. Lamar makes sure everyone is set first and legal." And then he talked about it for a minute. He loved it. And he said, these little things, they make a difference, and they really do. And before I move on from Likely, I need to give him some love beyond this. He had a great game in what was mostly this rushing game, right? That everybody's talking about between Lamar and Derrik. But our super chatter talked about this. I don't think we're going to get dinged because it was this is the stiff arm. Boom!
Oh.
Boom!
Wow. Wow.
Bobby.
Bang. He tried to peanut punch the ball. No, that's not going to work, Sutton. Look at it. Bang.
And then watch his face. Watch. Here, I got to slow motion this. Watch this. And then he falls on the front of it.
Wow.
Look at him. Look at him.
Wait, did Kyle Brandt pass that up for angry run of the week?
Well, it's a pass, so I don't think it counts.
Oh, that's not deemed as a run. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I said bang, Tilly just woke up from her nap. Hello.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, bang.
Oh, wait, I'm in your headphones, right? Okay, so I didn't do it.
No, you're good. Wow. He literally, what makes it more impressive is that Sutton tried to be slick with the peanut punch and just got absolutely rejected.
Oh, you think you're going to punch the ball out?
Wow.
Let me just dribble your head into the ground. Whoa.
That's an incredible, just sheer force. I'm going to run over you kind of mentality from number 80. And think about it. If he's on any other team, this dude's probably getting a lot more national limelight than he is in Baltimore, with easily, far and away, the deepest tight end room in the entire league.
So which one was better, that one or the Derrik Henry stiff arming Minka? See, now the Minka one, we have the still shot of him being like,
yeah.
I think this one was more forceful.
That was more ragdoll. This was more ragdollish.
Yeah.
Like get off me, move. And he just
off me.
Yeah. This was probably more aesthetically pleasing Derrick's, and you hate to like act as if Derrick's was your run of the mill stiff arm, but Isaiah's
We're kind of
was
accustomed to it. Yeah.
Isaiah's was kind of violent. Was
Yeah.
kind of
that's the word
illegal
for it.
look, kind of disrespectful looking.
Yeah. Well, they were
You know?
both disrespectful.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Okay, let me give you one more highlight. Okay, this one,
Although
he's not
Minka-
done, ladies and
Minka's-
gentlemen.
Sorry, I'm like kind of thinking about this. Minka's a dude. Like
That's
Minka,
it's on like
dude.
it's on. Is Minka? Has he been an All Pro before? I think he has.
He's a decorated player. I mean, no disrespect to Sutton, but Minka Fitzpatrick, that guy's among the best at his position, around the league. And for Derrick to kind of just make him irrelevant in that specific play, that probably deserves a little bit of love.
Minka's a 3-time first team All Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, and an NFL interceptions co-leader in 2022. Bart Starr Award in 2024. Yeah, he's a dude.
All right, sorry about that. Where were you leading us?
No, I'm glad you did. Okay, so we're agreeing that it's likely by a hair. Okay.
We are.
Right,
I just
okay.
want to make sure we weren't tossing Derrick's to the side.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not. Okay, now check this out. Now this one I noticed, certainly by me. Coach Evans put this all 22 film out. This is Lamar running. Watch Isaiah Likely blocking. Oh. Okay. You see, I'm pausing it here. You see 8. Then to our right, to Lamar's left, there's Likely. Wait, is it the same dude? Did he just dribble number 20?
Let's see.
Here,
Roll
hold
that
on.
sucker back.
Let me go
Yeah.
back. Hold on. Here we go. It's the same
Yeah.
dude. Okay.
he's-
Oh my God.
Oh man, he's getting picked on.
Oh, Isaiah had no mercy. Okay, here we go.
Sutton's
let me
really getting picked
let me
on,
rewind
man.
it. Let me rewind it. Okay. Let me cheat up. Okay, we see him right there. 80. Keep your eye on 80 on the right of the hand of the screen.
Oh no, he did it to me again. Oh, Sutton, man.
It was another ragdoll moment. Bro, this one was less about his like being dribbled. He just threw him. Boom. Look at him. Both of his feet are in the air right there. And on his backside. And he goes rolling. And Isaiah just turns the other way. He's like, all right, 8, good run.
Oof. Tough watch.
All right, let me do it in slow-mo in regular motion here. Oh,
Just move. Yeah, he does turn around. He's not standing over, and no unsportsmanlike penalty there, right?
no,
Unlike
he
Zay in
turned
the
around.
championship game.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, and you know what
Ooh.
though? Like it speaks to kind of like Mark Andrews earlier on in his career. These guys came in as elite pass catchers, obviously with almost instant connection with their quarterback. But both guys wanted to become the Nick Boyle, right? They wanted to, well, not just the Nick Boyle, but what did Nick do best? He was in the trenches. He was a blocker. He was a guy that just was fantastic at opening up all kinds of holes. And I think you've seen growth in that category from both Mark and Isaiah in sort of like secondary fashion. They both came in as big time pass catchers, big time targets, and now they're doing much more as a full blown tight end.
Absolutely. All right. Quick hits or super chats?
The latter.
All right, let's
see. Eric was helping us out with our first super chat donors reference earlier on, which was JL Green, who mentioned Sly Stone. And Eric says Sly Stone is a band or part of a band.
Here, let me share my screen. I looked them up.
So thanks for the context
This was
there.
Before I think both of our time. I mean, I was born on the penultimate day of the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, but I did not know. So that was dumb. I thought, because you know how Sly or Sylvester Stallone is sometimes called Sly. So I was like, you see, yeah, that was bad on my part. That was bad.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Appreciate you, Eric, for the context. And Wildlife Wale for you.
It's crazy. No one is talking about how Harbs completely dominated and outcoached Tomlin. Ooh, yeah. Somebody tagged me on this that I keep forgetting to mention. The right before the Ravens did their, they scored right before the half, right, to go up 21-0, which ended it, right? Tomlin called a timeout, thinking when the Ravens were going into third down, thinking I'm going to call a timeout, and then this will give me enough time to try to drive down and get, a field goal or a touchdown. And so he calls the timeout, and then Lamar hits Bateman for a first down on a slant. Bateman coming up huge. And so that ended up, he was the one who prolonged it for the Ravens, because then the Ravens obviously went on. Lamar hit Aguilar, he hit Andrews and Likely, and then I think it was was Justice Hill one? Was that on that drive?
Well, when the heck was Tylen?
Tylen?
Remember his all-out effort play on the right-hand side? Anyway.
It might have been in there. Anyway, 100%, because we did going into the Week 16 game after the Steelers beat the Ravens again. We talked a little bit how we felt like Tomlin had Harbaugh's number. And, we remembered things like him saying when the house is on fire, something like that, they're going to come with an all-out blitz. And so he was baiting it. There was...
burn the house down or something like that.
Yes.
He'll do it every time. And Patrick Peterson, that was a quote of his within the last couple of years.
Right. I definitely butchered whatever he said.
No.
But yeah, no. And I feel like Harbs has out coached him for sure the last two games. And all national media are talking about how his message is stale. And Harbs has been here only 1 year less than Tomlin. And I think Harbs' messages might be getting stale on the fans, but I'm not seeing it inside the locker room. I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing stuff like Marlon Humphrey in that Hard Knocks segment coming up to Harbs on the sideline, putting his arm around him and having this tearjerker moment where he's like, this is after he gets named to the Pro Bowl. And he's like, do you remember the text message you sent me this offseason? And you said you still believed in me. And he's like, I'm never going to forget that, coach. There's just so many moments like that where it's just like, I think Harbs has evolved, with how hard of a coach he was when he first came in to what he's doing now, where he's got the leadership council. And I think he's just empowered everybody so that they have a voice, so that his own voice doesn't get stale. So yeah, I thought Harbs outcoached Tomlin. So I thought that was a good super chat there.
For whatever it's worth, I did notice that Pat Freiermuth and others who have, speaking of voices in the Pittsburgh locker room, backed Tomlin wholeheartedly in their post-game, post-days media session. So, with all that controversy swirling right now, trade rumors being out there, so on and so forth, he does have his guys, at least some of the bigger names like the Watts, like the Freiermuths, like others in that locker room that are, standing by him, as you would expect.
Mm-hmm.
But just something to watch as Pittsburgh's offseason unfolds in rather dramatic fashion. Captain Hard says Acho knew but wanted to wait for MVP ballots until MVP ballots was submitted. Didn't fit his narrative.
So he's talking about the Lamar Jackson effect, obviously.
Nightmare kilo for you.
They keep saying, make Lamar throw, Bills fans.
Good luck.
A couple emojis there.
Good luck. JL Green says Sly and the Family Stone, 70s retro, getting back to his first super chat of the afternoon. And Devil Dog 0352.
Sarah, you did it last week. I still paced around my kitchen and lost track of my kid during the game out of nerves, but I'll ask again. How do you calm the nerves of Ravens fans for the Bills game? I just stay busy. I don't have enough time to have nerves. The only time I have nerves is right before the game starts, but then it goes away because we're so busy. I just do not have time. I just do not have time to be nervous. That's number one. So if you can keep yourself busy, that'll be helpful. Also, it'll make the game come faster because it feels like the clock is running in reverse when all you can do is think about the game. But also, I just, and I could be wrong. Obviously, this is a 50-50 game. I just think that the Bills on defense do not match up well against the Ravens offense. I don't know, to Rex Ryan's point, I don't know that they have the personnel to stop the run game. So hopefully that makes you feel better.
Who wants to tackle the king in that kind of weather forecast? Wildlife Wale says the Bills I watched Sunday literally played to the strength of the Ravens defense and Captain Hart.
I know the defense was bad back in week 4, but I do think Kyle being close to the line of scrimmage helped out a lot to contain Josh. With him moving back, hope they can contain.
Wildlife Wale, another one, says, remember when the knock on the Ravens offense was Lamar has to play hero ball for them to win in the playoffs, and that's not sustainable? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 2024 Buffalo Bills.
Well, it's funny because what's that show with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky?
Moving the
Move the
Sticks.
Sticks. There we go. Move the Sticks. In the offseason, they always do like a roster review after most of your moves have been done. And they talk about, to be a Super Bowl contender, you need to have 7 or 8 premium players. Premium. And the Bills, I think, had 8 last year. I think the Ravens had like 7, something like that. But most of those premium players were on defense. I don't think you can underestimate Lamar Jackson having a sidekick. I just don't think you can underestimate that. And again, I was watching, first things first. And that one thing that Nick Wright did say was like, he felt like Josh looked more of the MVP last week. And he said that because he felt like, he goes, because Josh is the engine behind that team. And then Chris Broussard replies and says, well, you could say the same for Lamar. Lamar is the engine. And Nick says, that's true, which I'm glad he gave that. He goes, but Lamar has an incredible sidecar, I guess, an incredible sidekick. And that's 100% true. I can only imagine, Bobby, like there was the opening against the Steelers where Lamar ran because they kept crashing on Derrik. And it wasn't until they finally started coming out after Lamar that he handed it off. And it reminded me of the Kansas City game where Lamar was like in week 1, just taking it all on his shoulders when you had Derrik Henry right there. And he was exhausted by the end of the game. And I thought to myself, look at Lamar sweating. I can see the sweat on his face. Give him a break and give it to Derrik. Whereas if you gave him a break in the past, you didn't know if his sidekick could keep up the pace of what Lamar could do on his own. And Derrik Henry is that guy. Derrik Henry is that guy where Lamar can be like, not only can I take a break right now, but I know you're going to do just as good as if I would if I kept the ball. Like it's for sure massive coming into this playoff run. And that is why they signed him for this moment.
Well, you made me think of a chart that we had when you talk about evaluating their quarterback play, respectively, from Wild Card Weekend and PFF is what you're looking at here. Their week off, their wild card grades and expected points added, aka EPA per play, and look at who is up at the top right, exactly where you want to be. It's Josh and it's Lamar, and Josh has a little bit more in terms of EPA per play, and Lamar has a little bit more in terms of PFF offensive grade overall. So it just speaks to how electric these players have been. But yeah, you're not kidding. That's
really too bad. It's really too bad the two teams aren't going to meet in the Super Bowl. Like for them to meet so early, it's just too bad.
Oh, I went on a podcast earlier today, and with my friend Richard Graves, I actually met him when we were on Radio Row in Vegas last year, and he said exactly that. He's like, "Can you believe this is a divisional round game? Like this is not deciding who gets to go to New Orleans. No, not even close.
Right,
run round away." So,
yep.
Good super chat, Wildlife.
He's got another one coming up.
Yeah, Devil Dog too. Both these guys are diving in today hard. Let's see who read. This is you, Devil Dog 0356.
Bobby and Sarah, what are your biggest concerns heading into this matchup? For me, it's the secondary that gave up quick TD drives versus Pittsburgh before adjustments. Yeah, it's. I hate burying him, but it's Brandon Stevens. Like I could see Josh targeting him again and finding a lot of success. And when you target him, I mean, these are not like 5-yard plays. Like these are like 15, 20-yard plays. They're a big deal. So that's my biggest concern.
Mine would be put the uncontrollable factor aside, which is the weather, because I think that should be a concern for both teams. Mine would be special teams. I think they're a little unsettled right now at punt returner. I think Jordan Stout's been inconsistent, especially when it comes to flipping the field. And we just haven't seen a whole lot of volume from Justin Tucker because of the way that the Ravens have been kicking teams, the last, few weeks. So I'll go special teams. Kush Renata says Zay for Kansas City is a must, assuming that there are a couple assumptions here that Kush Renata is making. One, that the Ravens will beat Buffalo, and two, the game will be played in Kansas City if they beat Houston, which they're expected to. Also, could Keaton replace Justice in 2025? He's extended. Justice Hill is extended. He's going to be in Baltimore for the foreseeable future. His speed is definitely a factor and change up to King Henry's power. Your thoughts? They're going to have all three, Kush. And another
it's
one.
An embarrassment of riches there.
Yep.
Well, the only way they wouldn't have all three is if, say, like the Ravens win the Super Bowl and Henry's like, you know what? That's a good way to finish. Yeah. But I hope he would try to come back to repeat.
Even though he's on, obviously he is under contract for 2025, so he would just be retiring and foregoing that. But
and by the way, Justice Hill is extended through 2026.
Thank you. And another one from Kush.
Likely is what Dixon should have been. That Dixon was drafted before Pitta.
Ed.
Pitta was 4th round. Dixon, I think, was 3rd round.
Ed Dixon.
Yep.
Joey H says, if we win the coin toss, kick or receive. Coming up on Sunday night, if the Ravens win the coin toss, would you want to kick or receive? Hey, go hard or go home.
I like to kick because I like having the extra possession in the second half.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I'll say this. I do think that weather plays into that. So, for example, I remember this from my high school days. My high school football team went to the state championship in Colorado, and the weather was that the snow was going to be coming later in the game, and there was no snow on the ground in the beginning. So it's like, well, take advantage of the possessions while the weather is still good instead of having possessions late. So outside of that, I like to kick and receive in the second half.
Honestly, but to your point, they might have this thing down to a ridiculous science where they know the hour by hour by hour by hour forecast, and that could very well be a factor in that decision. So we'll see. We already went through the weather forecast. It's got the potential of being gnarly out there. Jang writes, this is for you.
Excited to watch Hard Knocks tonight. Me too.
One of my college buddies called me last night. We started chatting about various things, and what did he do? I woke up this morning to he sent me his credentials to sign into HBO, so I'll be watching. Appreciate you. We called him the Congressman. That's his nickname in our friend group. Thor says, Sarah, it's the in-game blunders in the big moments that is his concern.
I get that.
Going in.
Like if we had a return of old Ravens that are just, like penalties and, turnovers, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that actually freaks me out more. I'm with Thor on that one. Like if turnovers, penalties, that would freak me out more. I put that, then Stevens, then the returner.
And another one from Wildlife.
Like you always say, Sarah, my stars are better than yours. It's the most important thing. Yeah.
77 figures. Bills don't have a Super Bowl roster. I'm sorry, with 100 emoji. And AG, and we have a quick hit on this, says Carl Sheffer's crew is working on Sunday again, and here it is. So Carl Sheffers will be the lead official coming up on Sunday night, and Jonas Schaefer went into the archives the last time that the Ravens had him. It was week 12 on Monday night against the Chargers in LA, and the Ravens were flagged, as they so often were this year, Sarah, 9 times, which negated 102 yards in that game that was on the road. So that was a part of our quick hits. AG, thanks for leading us directly into it.
Now, I think we were a little bit nervous about the refs coming into the wildcard game too, right? Wasn't there somebody that called a ton of holdings? That was that referee crew? And the referee crew was pretty quiet against the Steelers, I felt like.
Yeah.
I think we had a slide on that last week.
Ronnie had a couple false starts.
It was mostly a clean game.
They were only flagged 3 times, weren't they?
It was pretty low.
I think they were only flagged 3 freaking times. Let me take a look. 3 for 14 right here. 3 for 14. Pittsburgh was 7 for 41. Hopefully it continues. What other quick hits do you have for us? Let's get back to our initial slide here.
I've got just a couple of from Wired that were pretty good. I got audio for these slides. Let me pull this up. So this is Charlie Kolar on the sideline talking about the Ravens running game.
That's called power football, baby.
Yeah, hell yeah.
They know we're running. Their mom knows we're running. We're still running, baby.
That's like the best thing on offense where you're like, you know exactly what we're doing and you cannot stop us. You cannot. Yep. You, your mom, your dog, like everybody knows, and we're still doing it. So that was kind of fun from Charlie. That was the slide I was looking for earlier. This was the opening offensive drive. They're backed up near the end zone due to a muffed punt, to your point about your concern. And Lamar comes out. Lamar's feeling good, and they all kind of communicate their mindset.
We don't wait a whole year for this, y'all, boys.
We got your back,
man. Let's go. Let's get it, man. One play at a time, man. Hold that ball.
Fun. Hey, take care of football today, boys.
Hey, let's go. Let me get our preview.
We got your back, 8. You be you. We be you. And I love that because they understand what we all understand, that the weight of the world is on Lamar Jackson, that in the national media's eyes, it's not the Ravens winning or losing. It's Lamar Jackson winning or losing. Now, sometimes Derrik Henry gets a little shout out, but like that's the way it is. So they understand that and they want them to know that we got your back. And then I love that they say to take care of the football because that's exactly where my mind was when the game started.
I really enjoyed this next one. Willie Taggart is the running backs coach in Baltimore, and he has a decorated resume of head coach experience at the national level. At the collegiate level. He was at Florida Atlantic from 2020 to 2022. He was at Florida State 2018 and 2019. He was at Oregon for just a lone season in 17. South Florida prior to that. Western Kentucky prior to that. I mean, this is a dude that has a lot of experience as, again, a collegiate head coach. And, of course, now he gets to work one-on-one with a first ballot Hall of Famer. And that first ballot Hall of Famer, after breaking off a heck of a drive with several big runs, gave his running backs coach a whole lot of love, unsolicited.
Jeremy! I just see it so different now.
Hey. No, I don't want to hear about it. Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Some tough audio there, but basically just I'm seeing it different now based on what you have taught me or what you have showed me. And it's kind of a cool in-game look there between running backs coach and player.
I like that it starts where he's like, hey, did you hear me? Because apparently he must have already given him that compliment. Because when the clip starts, Willie Taggart's walking away, like his back is turned. He's like, hey, did you just hear what I said? Like you will hear my compliment to you. But it is wild to think that here's Derrik Henry, who is first ballot Hall of Famer, right? When it's his time. And he's in his whatever year this is. We know he's 31. As veteran as it gets, as decorated as it gets.
Yep.
And he's telling Willie Taggart, you help me because I can see it differently now. That's cool.
I think this is just another indication of the staff that John Harbaugh has cultivated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and obviously that was Exhibit A was last year when every one of them was plucked defensively for different jobs around the league. Mike McDonald, Denard Wilson, Anthony Weaver. You know, Weaver's in this hiring cycle, by the way. He's a candidate for some of these teams that are having head coach vacancies. You know, you've got a Willie Taggart with previous head coach experience on your roster. You've got Todd Monken, who at least 3 teams are looking at for their head coaching vacancies. So, and that's just to name a couple. I mean, we haven't even, I'm going to take a great excuse to mention Chuck Smith's name, who's really revamped their outside linebacker room in the last couple seasons. So I think that's just an area that, as we've mentioned in recent weeks, John Harbaugh deserves a lot of credit, bringing in a certain staff that meshes, that has a tremendous amount of experience, and that obviously that's paid dividends, those hires.
So, Bobby, you mentioned your biggest concern for Sunday is the return game. Something tells me that when John Harbaugh was asked about the returner and Sims having those kind of muffed punts, Something tells me that his answer doesn't make you feel a whole lot better. So here was John Harbaugh on the returning situation.
I'm not sure yet. He'd been gone for quite a while, and he had the physical situation, had some personal things he was dealing with. But he's working hard in practice last week, and you just got to make sure.
Sorry, just to be clear, he was asked about Anthony Miller, who the Ravens signed in the offseason to be the returner.
Who was one of the practice squad call-ups.
Wait. Not Anthony Miller then. Who's the guy coming off of IR that they signed in the offseason for?
Deontay Hardy.
Deontay Hardy. I totally mixed him up. He was asked about Deontay Hardy because he was brought off of IR to practice. And so they were like, do you expect him to be back? Now, remember, at this point, if you have even a chance, it's playoff time. You might as well give it a chance, right? Because if you're not saving it for anything. So anyway, they asked him if he could be activated this week.
Well, I'm not sure yet. He'd been gone for quite a while, and he had the physical situation, had some personal things he was dealing with. But he's working hard in practice last week, and you just got to make sure a guy's ready. He's in shape and mentally ready. I mean, he tells me in his mind he's ready. I can tell you that. He wants to play, and we'll just have to see. But Steven is a guy that we also have confidence in, and I know he had a couple balls gone on the ground last week. It was windy, lefty. He was bombing the ball for sure, and with the one on the very first one, I don't know if he lost track of where he was at, but we don't want to be backing up inside the 8-yard line and catching those kind of punts. Just give it a chance to go in the end zone, right? And so he'd like to have that one back, and then he decided to not field two of the other ones, and turned out okay for us the way they bounced. So, but he's done well. He's an experienced guy, and he'll do well back there too. So we're confident. Or if Tylen was back there, we'd be confident with Tylen too. Those guys all do a good job.
So he's trying to say he's confident in everybody, but Bobby, actions speak louder than words, because if you felt that confident, I don't know that Aaron Wilson would be. My husband's calling me right now, which is not normal, so I'll call him right back because I know we're about to finish.
Well, why don't you take that, and I'll finish the quick hits.
All right, let me just. Yeah, it's not. It's
Yeah,
rare.
just mute.
Usually, yeah.
Just throw
All right,
yourself
let
on
me
mute. Amari Rogers is T. Martin's son, and he's been around the league for a little while, a former Clemson standout and a wide receiver. Also has some return specialist experience as well. So the Ravens worked him out yesterday. Any coincidence? I don't know if you're bringing somebody in, off the street, so to speak, to serve as your divisional round return specialist. But I'm sorry, I'm not buying into that whole coaches speak right there. That surefire confidence that John Harbaugh is giving, because it's been an issue, and that's a problem. I mean, it's a problem from a field position standpoint. It's a problem from a ball security standpoint. So yeah, Sarah, I don't feel very confident. Everything good?
Yeah. No, I'm glad I answered it though. It was his nurse calling me to let me know something for him. So
Okay.
I didn't need to know that one. So I'm glad I picked up.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, Amari is T's son, and so there's clearly familiarity there. T. Martin is the quarterback's coach in Baltimore. Another one, kind of a good segue to talk about what we were talking about a minute ago. Just another guy that seems to be a great fit on the staff. But yeah, this is essentially why I answered that question from earlier on in the super chats the way that I did. Because if you're bringing somebody in from the streets for divisional round playoff game to serve as your return specialist, I don't think you have that surefire confidence that John Harbaugh is claiming he does about who's currently in house.
Right. He's got to talk up his guys, right? And he doesn't know if they're going to sign Rodgers. So he's got to talk everybody up, because it sounds to me that they don't know exactly who they want to put out there yet, or there could be changes. And so he wants to talk everybody up because it's just unsettled.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. You want to know who feels probably really unsettled right now because of what's been going on for him over the last calendar year is former Ravens wide receiver, former Houston Texans wide receiver, former Carolina Panthers wide receiver, and former Steelers wide receiver, Deontay Johnson, who was just waived by the Houston Texans. He's looking for his 5th team in under a calendar year. And Deontay, who else wants to take a chance on Deontay Johnson? Maybe the Jets. New York Jets, you want to give him a shot?
What is he doing behind the scenes?
He's about to go to Kansas City, isn't he?
Fine, good. good. Please, Kansas City, sign him.
I mean, listen, this is whack.
This is why it's bananas to me that people, it's the Harbs haters who are trying to push an agenda. That you're trying to blame Harbs for what happened in Baltimore. Like, there is clearly a trend. And I don't wish Deontay Johnson any ill will. And he obviously had a good relationship with the Ravens players because when they played each other on Christmas Day, they were not just dapping it up. They were like laughing and having fun and all that kind of stuff. But what is he doing behind the scenes? What?
It's notable that in that clip that you're referring to, it was just a couple of his offensive teammates. It was Lamar. It was Likely. It was just to be clear, there's few of the guys on the offense that the headliners were dapping them up pretty good.
But the leaders, and they were all good. So, but I don't know what he's doing behind the scenes to get to we talked about how he would have an opportunity here with Zay going down and he would have had an opportunity earlier. And they clearly need wide receiver help. They've lost wide receivers. Like, what is going on with Deontay Johnson behind the scenes? I would like to watch that documentary.
I think
Can Netflix do one of those? Yeah, but Hard Knocks isn't going to get that approved because teams have that. But I need Netflix to come in and give me that documentary.
Hard Knocks missed hard on, pun intended, on Deontay not even being involved in any of the AFC North when he was in Baltimore. Like, that was a miss. I don't know if it wasn't,
but it's not a miss. They're not being approved. I'm sure they wanted to address it.
Well,
there wasn't even a mention of it.
No, not at all.
And I've been on the back ends of these, Bobby, when we would do Wired when I was still at the Ravens. Everything has to go up to the coaches. Well, first it goes through PR. And then after PR, then it goes to coaches.
Oof.
And otherwise, why would they give you access? That's the only way you can get them to do it because they hate the cameras in there. And I get it. I wouldn't want cameras. If somebody said, I want to follow you around all day, every day, access to everything you do, the only way I would say is like, all right, but I got to see it before it goes out.
Dude was a part of 3 playoff teams in one calendar year. The 4th was Carolina, obviously not a playoff team, and had an opportunity in Baltimore, as we discussed, with not only Zay going down, not only Nelson Aguilar being in concussion protocol for multiple weeks, but just the fact that, wow, that is
like he has torpedoed himself in a contract year.
What a fumble. What a total fumble
like,
of a golden opportunity.
Is he going to be able to get a veteran minimum deal at this point?
You know what? I keep saying after every single cut, there's no chance that another team, right? Like, I keep getting burnt because there's who's going to take a chance on this guy. That's what I said after the Ravens. Well, then Houston did. And now probably Kansas City will. Who knows?
Well, I honestly don't think Kansas City will because they got all their healthy players back.
That's true.
I mean, they got
Marquise back and who else is back? Is Rashid back? Is Rashid back for them?
Yes, Rashid's back. Marquise is back.
Yeah.
They got a full arsenal at the wide receiver position.
And as you mentioned, still in the middle of a contract year. Best of luck, Deontay. I don't think that's going to end well for him. But then again, how many chances have these other dudes gotten? Countless examples over the years. It's a business, and sometimes behavior is swept under the rug. Let's see. We had a couple more super chats that came in. Just one from Devil Dog 0352 says, I understand the optics and narrative, but I'm tired of seeing, quote, whoever wins this Buffalo-Baltimore game is the true MVP. Wonder how they'll move the goalposts if the Ravens win again. MVP is a regular season award. Ballots were due on Wednesday. You ain't wrong, Devil. Let's get to some patrons.
I think it'll more just like, obviously they have to turn in the votes when they do, but it would say a lot of who the true MVP. Do you know what I mean? Like, I totally agree. Like, it's a regular season award, and the Super Bowl MVP is whoever's the best in the playoffs, including the Super Bowl. But I do get the sentiment that it's like, okay, we had to give a vote, but like, even though this won't affect the vote, like, how do you not look at it and say, oh, wow, yeah. Either like, oh, yeah, I got it. If you voted for Lamar, you're like, oh, yeah, I got it right. Or if you voted for Lamar or if you voted for Allen and Lamar plays better, you're like, dang, I got it wrong, or vice versa. Like, I do get that sentiment out there.
By the way, Cam Walker's saying Rashee Rice is not available.
Oh, he's not? Are
He's
we
done
sure?
for the year.
I thought he was back.
So that means
Was
they'll
he
be
back
riding
for a
with,
second?
they'll be riding with Marquise Brown. They got Juju. They got Xavier Worthy. They got Travis Kelce.
Oh.
Chef Trez, Christian Almgren, thank you both for believing in what we're building. We appreciate you for being a part of the Vault Patreon community. This is your monthly shout out. If you guys are interested in doing the same this postseason, go visit patreon.com/Ravens Vault Podcast. There's a direct link in the show notes. You can do so for as little as $1.99. Appreciate you guys. And I forgot DeAndre Hopkins too. How could I forget him?
Yeah. So, yeah, it looks like Rashee Rice is out. But, yeah, DeAndre Hopkins, obviously. So, we got DeAndre, Marquise, Kelce. Oh, who's the rookie again?
Worthy. Yeah, there's playmakers.
Yeah.
The reason why there's playmakers all over the field is what I just did. I forgot DeAndre Hopkins. There's an embarrassment of riches.
And Deontay Johnson isn't going to play over any of the three we just named. So you're just setting him up to be frustrated again.
What other team's going to take a flyer? We'll see. We'll
Bobby,
see. It probably won't happen until next year.
Is it snowing out there? The snow is coming down hard outside my window.
Is it?
Yeah.
I got my blinds closed. Anybody
Oh,
in Baltimore? Is it snowing? I don't think so.
I've learned, by the way, that the weather here comes to Baltimore like a day later. It's almost every time we chat. I'm like, you're telling me about the weather. I'm like, yeah, I just had that yesterday.
Oh, perfect. I wouldn't mind some more snow here. Bring it on.
Yeah.
We got another super chat. Dr. Ad Sykes. This is a reference from my personal channel. Glad to be a creamer. The context here is a woman named Yvette last week put a super chat in and started it off by saying she was screaming something. It was about excitement for the Ravens win, but she spelled it creaming. So then I referred to everybody as the cream crew. And now Dr. Ad Sykes is saying that he's proud to be a creamer. So there you have it.
So we are working on Vault apparel and whatever name we come up with for the Vault. Voltrons. We can have a shirt that says Voltrons or Baltimoreans or whatever we vote on. But you can do your apparel with creamers. also, we're going to start off with the bare minimum of our apparel, right? Will be like the Vault, maybe the logo or whatever. But we have to get a shirt that says woof. It has to be done.
Just for you. I'm pulling up the list right now just to have a little bit of fun with this. But yeah, that will be at your request. Why wouldn't you? Let's do it.
Have
Let
we
us know what you
considered
guys think here.
have we considered woofers?
You're unreal. What do you guys think of the list? For those of you who have not been paying attention, living under a rock, we are experimenting with a nickname for you, our audience.
I'm seeing some love for Vault Insiders.
What do you guys think?
You can say, wait, let's practice. Do some of your intros, Bobby. Do an intro with Baltimoreans. Let's see how since we've already gone an hour and 40 minutes. Real quick, give me an intro with Baltimoreans. See if it rolls off the tongue. Okay, let's try it.
What's going on, Baltimoreans? It is Tuesday, January 14th. Welcome inside the Vault for a Ravens lunch hour live stream.
Okay, now give me Voltrons.
3, 2, and 1. Voltrons. What's going on? It is Tuesday, January 14th. Welcome inside the Vault.
That was good. Maybe it was because of the way you emphasized it, but Voltrons was better than Baltimoreans. That one was a little bit of a mouthful. Okay.
And I've already told you, I am on record just sharing a personal preference that 2 words does not hit as significantly as one does, like Volters, Voltrons, Baltimoreans do. Just my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. I liked Voltrons. Okay. Okay. Do me a favor. Let me do another one here. Give me vultures.
What's going on, vultures? Welcome. That's not it. That's just not it. It's not it.
Okay. Okay. Give me Vault insiders. You could just call them insiders. Give me whatever you got.
3, 2. Okay. Just an opinion as I think through it before I let it rip.
Okay.
Insiders to me does not bring a unique, anybody can be an insider is what my first thought on that is. But
okay. Okay.
3, 2, and 1. What's going on, Vault insiders? Welcome inside the vault. It's Tuesday, January 14th.
Okay. All right. Definitely Voltrons was the best so far. Can you just for fun give me woofers?
I'm sure that won't
emphasize it. Emphasize it like woofers. Give it to me.
All right. All right.
Okay.
3, 2, and 1. Woofers, what's going on? It is Tuesday, January 14th.
Hold on, let me do woofers. Okay, let me see. All right, let me see. In 3, 2, 1. What's going on, woofers? Welcome inside the vault.
That was the most ridiculous emphasis. You are hysterical. Hey, I'm not
Okay,
lying.
I think you brought me over to Voltrons. I'll be honest.
Well, I'm just saying this too. I'm not minding the way that sounds.
Wait, woofers?
No.
Oh.
No. Voltrons. There's
Okay.
something something
No, there
kinda
is something
slick
about Voltrons. Yeah.
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 We'd love some live reaction here, by the way,
I'm
chat, in
getting
terms
it.
of
I'm getting it.
yeah.
They're saying to me what my kids say to me all the time. Like, you're just making yourself laugh. Like, none of us here are laughing.
Yeah.
Like, you're just cracking yourself up.
People appear to be enjoying
Oh,
Voltrons. Voltrons.
Oh my gosh, the chat.
Voltrons, Baltimoreans,
Wait.
Voltrons.
Do Vultures for me real quick.
3, 2, and 1. It is welcome inside the vault for I'm going to try different
Okay.
types of ways of coming off the top here. 3,
Okay.
2, and 1. 3, 2, and 1. Welcome inside the vault for a Ravens lunch hour live stream. It is Tuesday, January 14th. Vaulters, how are you?
I like it. Okay. I just saw somebody else say, hey, Vault Insiders is at least corny. So I'm just saying that.
Okay.
Okay, but it definitely everybody's agreeing that Voltron sounded the best.
Now let me get this thought out there as well.
We already tried Baltimorean Stanley. It didn't roll off the tongue.
Well, and Stanley that's actually the comment that jogged my memory on some feedback that we got within the last couple of days, and that was for the out of town list who are no longer in Baltimore or maybe don't hail from Baltimore. Does Baltimorean not resonate with you? I'm curious. For those that are out of town, does Baltimorean not resonate with you because of your residence? Would love some feedback on that. Okay. Feisty says it does not.
Hello, welcome in, dummies.
Mr. Trace Bien says, if you do Voltrons, you should add some mechanical sounds to the intro and outro music.
That is true. Actually, that actually makes me feel a bit better because in the past, when I thought Voltrons, I thought of Transformers.
Yeah.
But if you think of it mechanical of like a vault opening up, that sounds a little bit better.
Okay.
Now that I've got that vision. Can you just do for a couple people here, Flocksmiths?
Yeah, and then just before I do, Ashley making note of something that I thought about as well is actually a shower thought that I had this morning. She says it's the city of the team that we cover on a daily basis, which I think is a good counter, right? Like Baltimorean, it's about the show, and then the second part of Baltimorean obviously speaks to Baltimore, which doesn't necessarily dictate. See where I'm going with that? Like,
yeah,
you don't have to be from Baltimore, obviously, to lean into it. It's the vault on top of the show that we cover. Excuse me, the team that we cover year round. So anyway, you wanted what?
What did they ask for? Vault. Flocksmiths.
Oh my gosh.
That's not my favorite.
Listen, you already know why this one gets a little tricky. You start saying this quickly, and you never know what pops out. Yeah. So 3, 2, 1. Welcome inside the vault for a Ravens lunch hour live stream. It is Tuesday, January 14th. Flocksmiths, great to see you. Great to be seen.
Yeah, I don't like it. Okay, I do like the dummies one. Do that one real quick. Vault. What up, dummies?
Yeah, that's yours. Who are you kidding? It's yours.
All right.
It sounds to me, and we'd love a little bit of direction here. I think we have a top 3 based on what I've seen from popular opinion. I'm seeing Vaulters, Voltrons, and Baltimoreans. I don't want to speak for everybody, but do we think that we have a top 3? And if we do, it might be time to vote at some point in the coming days. I'm going to write these down and put them up on the screen right now so we can all look at them rather than looking at a top 13.
I'm just saying they're all kind of in the same vein, though.
They are.
You know what I mean? Like it's not really a variety there.
Yes or no? It's a top 3. We're obviously open this up for a vote. Sarah and I continue to agree, I think, unless something's changed, that once we do have a top 3, this will be decided by you guys. We want it to be in charge of dwindling it down and having a say in how we bring this thing down to a top 3. And then from there, it's up to the vote. But are we okay with this as a top 3? Sarah making some feedback that they're all very similar. They are. But I don't see a fourth that should be in the conversation.
I think you can take Vaulters out and put in something that's different from those other 2.
We did get an email, though, about Vaulters that was essentially building up the simplicity of it. You know,
somebody with the prayer emoji is asking you to try Vaulties. Thor will not let go of Vault Dwellers. That's also my 13-year-old son's favorite.
Thor, I love you. And I love your 13-year-old son.
Yeah.
That might be the worst nickname that anybody has recommended for us. Vault Dwellers? I love you, Aiden.
Bobby is vetoing that. 3, 2, 1. What up, dummies? Welcome inside the vault.
That's incredible.
Oh, man. I think that insiders should be in there. I think it should be at least voted on.
Okay. All right. I mean, I got to see how many.
You got to let them vote on it.
Absolutely.
Because again, these 3 are all so similar.
We'll let the. Yeah.
How many options are we allowed to have? And are we only doing this poll on YouTube? It shouldn't be on Twitter, right? It's like people who are subscribed.
Yeah, I think it needs to be people that have a hand in our show, which is simply about, which comes down to people who support us on YouTube. It's not that we don't love our Twitter audience. It's that YouTube's where we live. So I think it should be decided on YouTube. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's go. It's almost 2:00.
Yeah, it is almost 2:00, which we said we wouldn't do.
We said we both said, okay, it's gonna be a little bit longer, but we cannot go till 2.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah. And
we didn't expect this. I didn't expect me making you go through every one of these names.
But I'm glad we have.
Yeah.
Because okay, how about this before we leave? The current audience, are you guys okay with adding Vault Insiders as a 4th option and moving forward at a point at a time to be determined with an official vote of 1 Voltrons, 2 Baltimoreans in no specific order, 3 Vaulters, and 4 Vault Insiders? Do we feel like that is okay moving forward with a top 4?
There's a lot of no's.
Well, what does that mean? What else you guys want in here? I thought these are the popular ones.
I'm telling you, Dummies is making a making a comeback.
That can come back all we want.
Are you going to make this a poll or not, Bobby? You're like stiff arming.
I am.
You're like are stiff arming other ideas out of these besides these three. And they're all essentially the same.
I guess in an effort to at some point get down to the bottom of this, I'm speaking with conviction and sharing opinions. But
all right, well, let's find out how many options we're allowed to have. Because here's what I think. I think Voltrons, Baltimoreans, and Vaulters are all going to eat each other.
What?
I think Voltrons, Baltimoreans, and Vaulters, if you put a fourth one that's like insiders, right? Then because these three are all so similar, they're gonna split the vote.
See, it's funny that I don't know if I'm on. I don't know if I see how I get that they're similar. The first 5 letters are the same in every single one of them.
I mean, yeah, you're just adding a different suffix to all three of them.
Yeah, but to me, each one of them make me feel something different. You know, Voltrons is kind of like this almighty, powerful kind of that hits. The Baltimoreans plays in to both things. It's the show and also the city of which the team resides. And then 3 is just sort of like your OG, your easy simplicity, something that's just kind of like the easy one. But
I think these are your top 3.
Really?
Yeah.
I was kind of. That's funny that you say that because I was kind of trying to base this off of what we've been hearing from the chat.
When you asked the question, there were like 7 no's right in a row.
Well, I did see that. Yeah, I did see that.
Anyway, let's move on. We got to go.
We got more super chats.
Oh, we do. Okay.
Thor saying what is low hanging fruit. Voltrons could Baltimoreans could easily be confused with people that want to troll like Thor does on a daily basis. Baltimoreans, which we don't want to do, obviously, but that would be low hanging fruit. So we do understand that. Deshaun says, "What's wrong with Vault Flock?" Kevin says, "Vault Nation should be in the top," which we discussed. Samuel says, "I like Baltimorean. It makes me feel home." Meaning, I'm guessing Sam has Baltimore roots. Shame 042185 says the combination. Teo Mass
What's
says
up, combination?
Bankers.
Welcome inside the vault.
And also a $1 donation. Brandon says, "Bobby, got to do the Whoa Dummies. There's 4,000 Whoa Dummies inside the vault for this playoffs lunch podcast." We've got over 5,300 concurrents right now, by the way.
Oh, they love it when you say concurrence.
Big numbers, 5,300 plus concurrents. Dream says Flocksmiths. Not a fan says, "I'm making this donation in an attempt to never be called a woofer." Timothy says, "Did you all see the Texans release Deontay Johnson," which we covered a minute ago.
Yeah.
Deshaun says 12 out of the 13 of these I would not wear. Y'all silly. Vault Insiders or Vault Flock. Obird says Vault Flock. Brandon says my favorites. Oh, sorry. I've been reading all these off.
Go, keep going.
Sorry.
Keep going. Yeah.
That shows you how lost I am right now. Brandon says my favorite song by the Wu-Tang Clan is Cream, CREAM. Devil Dog says Cream of the Flock, play on Cream of the Crop. Yvette says, "Yes, I'm here and happy about the Ravens creaming the Steelers. Hashtag Vault, go Ravens." Yvette, your super chat has literally turned into a whole narrative, which has been hilarious. And that gets us fully caught up with Eileen coming in at the tail end here saying Vault Squad, Vault Squad. We got to go. It's 2:00. More to come. We have not gotten to solution. And my top 3 has been shot down.
Well,
More
you just got to have some variety in there.
More to come.
All right.
Thank you guys for being with us on this Tuesday. It is 2 o'clock. You got an hour and 55 minutes worth of content. Please like the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we're dropping our daily live content. Special thank you to Manta Sleep for the sponsorship opportunity. Please go check out the Best of Vault clips in our new playlist, smack dab right on the front of our YouTube channel. If you're on Twitter, please come on over to YouTube. Sub up. We're coming up on 22,000 subscriptions. And we're glad that you're here with us this postseason. Thanks to our patrons, thanks to you, partner, and thanks to all 5,300 plus of you with 12K Tay coming in with a closing super chat. We can be the burglars, a place on burglars. We breaking in the vault daily. 12K Tay. Appreciate you for being here, guys, and thanks so much. Have an awesome Tuesday. We'll be back in under 23 hours, under 22 hours from now with a Ravens lunch hour live stream. And by the way, that's an homage giveaway. You know the drill. 42 of you were donors today in the Super Chat features. We appreciate you. For Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this Tuesday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. We'll catch up with you tomorrow. And as always, thanks for joining us here inside the vault. We'll talk soon.